You're going to be able to see firsthand by the end of this video whether these little cuttings that we take can go through a tremendous amount of abuse and still be viable as cuttings way down the road. Just revealing all of this and doing this little test could open up worlds of possibility to those of you who come to me on a regular basis and say, hey Mike, I'm moving, but I want to preserve these plants. How do I take cuttings and get them to where I'm moving to? Well, this might open up new possibilities. All right, we're back here in Oregon on our family vacation, and look what we found. We got a few cuttings of that same hydrangea, the same nursery, just past Tillamook. So I'm going to show you guys how easy it is to bring these things home if you find something and you ask the owner for cuttings. All right, let's do this. All right, so all we need is just a plastic bag, which we happen to have in the door here. We're just going to throw this in the bag, and we got some water. Just sprinkle a little of that in here. Hopefully there's no holes in the bag. Mom's gonna get mad at me here in a minute. All right, and then it's gonna be fully hydrated. All that water in there is gonna turn into humidity in this bag. All we have to do, tie a little knot in this thing, seal it up, and you're done. Humidity is gonna build up in there, and it will get this thing back to the hotel room where we can throw that in a fridge and preserve these until we get home. Now it's like 3 or 4 days till I'm gonna get home, be able to do anything with these. They will be just fine in a refrigerator in this bag. So that's all there is to it, guys. Just a plastic bag in the fridge and you're good to go. So the video was supposed to end right there. Well, things have developed a little bit more and an opportunity has presented itself to us. So here's that bag of cuttings. Now, that was August 15th. Then when we got home, I think it was the 16th or 17th, maybe it was the 17th, I put these in an outdoor fridge that we have on our back patio. Now, that fridge is pretty much on the fritz. It's going out, and it's only keeping things at 60 degrees. How do I know that? Because I've used a thermometer to test it out. We're kind of limping it along. Anyway, the temperature in that thing's only been at 60 degrees. Preferably, you'd want to be closer to 34, 36 degrees like a regular fridge would be. So that will push this test to the limits even further. Now, here we are, September 16th today, a little over a month later, and I thought I'm gonna go check these things out. Let's see what we got in here. There's our little cuttings, and they are in a sad state of affairs, and some of the leaves are kind of rotten in there, but that's what we've got. I've had these things just sitting in that fridge all this time and done nothing with it because I've been so busy. But I thought, what better opportunity to test this than right now? So this one might be gone, but you might be able to preserve it. I don't know, but that bottom bud there is pretty rotten looking. But this one right here, I had 2 cuttings total. This one is looking viable and healthy. And I think if we clean this up, we might be able to get a nice little cutting out of it and use our triple cup method to get this thing to root inside the house in a windowsill through the winter. Let's see if we can make this happen. All right, so we've got our little cup here, and I just want to show you guys, I've been using the finely ground fir bark that I always use for a rooting medium. And if you guys haven't seen that video, I'll put a link down below to a video that I did that talks all about rooting mediums and what works the best. At least that's my take on it. And I did cut some holes in the bottom of this cup. There's one on that side. There's one on that side. So this cup drains through really well, no problem at all. Now I just took it inside and saturated this in the kitchen sink so that everything would be fully saturated, and I've just been letting it kind of drain out any excess. As usual, we're going to have 2 more cups. Now these cups do not have any holes in the bottom. They're completely sealed, regular Dixie cups, and there are no holes in the bottom. We're going to use those as well. All right, let's get our little cutting and prepare this thing for liftoff. So I'm just going to start by stripping some leaves down. I don't know how much I'm going to do yet. I think I will. Let's see, you know what, maybe because that top is so bending over, we'll just take the top off and we'll cut these leaves down. We just need enough to do a little bit of photosynthesis, that's all. We don't need anything too fancy here. And if you guys haven't seen that first original video we did with the triple cup method, go check that out. I'll put a link down in the description below, and I actually did some follow-ups to it, and we'll be putting out another one here shortly, which you've probably seen by the time we get this one out, where I've done an update after 1 year in the triple cup method. So pretty cool. Anyway, you guys have probably already seen it, and it's a pretty awesome video, but just a real testament to how strong these little plants are. Anyway, I cut this down below a leaf node. I cut it at a 45-degree angle here so it accepts more rooting hormone. I don't like to waste much time once I cut that bottom. I really like to get it in some rooting hormone to accept that as soon as possible. Now, the rooting hormone doesn't matter. A lot of people get hung up on that. Right now, I'm using Hormidin 3 because I just have this extra old bottle sitting out around my place all the time because I use so much of it for rhododendron propagation. You don't need this. You can use any rooting hormone that you've got on hand. It really doesn't matter. What's more important are the techniques, that you get the principles right in all the details of the actual propagation. These things will actually root without hormone. I'm just increasing our odds here with the hormone. So, because we don't want the dibbler police coming after us today, I'm just going to go ahead and dibble a little hole in here. And let's see how far down we're going. I'll go a little further. Let's see. All right, that's probably about right, I guess. Something like that. Yeah. All right. I'm going to set this little guy right down in here. And we're going to just push that soil or soilless medium down around the little cutting. And then the other thing I'm going to do now, because we've packed that down some, is I'm going to fill this up the rest of the way with some bark. I'll be right back. So I filled this up with more bark, and then I went and lightly misted the top and let a little water drip through. I know some of you say, hey, why do you water the cutting after you stick it? Aren't you rinsing the rooting hormone through? It's not a problem. I usually let these cuttings sit with the hormone on them for just a few minutes so it soaks some of that rooting hormone in. But with this, I just lightly misted the top, so it's not going to affect it at all. So now what we'll do is we'll just take our little cutting here. Actually, what did we do? Last time we just went ahead and slipped this with the holes in it. We slipped it right inside this cup that has no holes so that any excess moisture can drain down through. And then when we're ready, when this thing's fully rooted and we're ready to take it out, we can just take it out and we've got a natural planter that we can water ready to go. So we slip that guy down in there, and we take our top and we put it over the top. And see if I can get that in there okay. There we go. That'll do it. And then I've got my 3/4 inch tape here. And we'll go ahead and seal this whole little setup so it's all sealed up. We're not going to lose any moisture, and we should be good to go here. Look at that. Worked out just about perfect there. And like I said before, you might want to get, this is 3/4 painter's tape, which works real well because you can take it off real easy when you're done. It just comes right off. But you might want to get the 1 inch because it'll seal around that a little bit better. It's a little bit wider. But anyway, there it is. Our little cup completely sealed up. So there it is, our little cutting, and I'm telling you right now, I did not plan this. It just all kind of fell into our laps here. I realized I still had that cutting sitting in there, or the cuttings from all the way past a month ago, August 15th, and I thought, you know what? It's just a perfect opportunity to do this. So I want to talk about a few things real quick. Now, I'm not going to do anything with this. For one, we're just going to leave it sitting in this little cup. I'm going to put it on my windowsill, the same windowsill we used in that last video from a year ago in the fall on the triple cup method. And like I said, I'll put a link down in the description if you haven't seen it. But we'll put this in the windowsill. We'll just leave it alone. I'm not going to break this little tape here at all. We're just going to let it do its thing. Now, I have abused the heck out of this cutting. It has sat in that 60-degree refrigerator, not fully sleeping, for a little over a month. It was August 15th. Today is September 16th. You saw there was some rot in that bag. The other cutting didn't really make it. Maybe it would have, I don't know. But this one was the most viable cutting, in my opinion, so that's what we used. So we're gonna learn a lot right now about how tough these little cuttings are, this plant material is, and you're gonna be able to see firsthand by the end of this video whether these little cuttings that we take can go through a tremendous amount of abuse and still be viable as cuttings way down the road. We've already done this with figs in the past. In fact, I actually rooted fig cuttings that had been sitting in my fridge for up to a year, and they rooted just fine. The 2-year fig cuttings didn't fare so well, but the 1-year fig cuttings did great. Now we're doing a whole month on softwood cuttings. So we'll see how this is gonna go. Now, that brings up another important point. As I'm sitting thinking about this cutting, and I'm going, how is this possible at all? How could this possibly survive all this time? Well, I want to remind you of something, because this suddenly dawned on me not too long ago. When you take a cutting and you stick it in a rooting medium, if you do it immediately, what is it sitting in? If you just got rid of the medium, which just holds it upright essentially and gives it something to root into, you essentially have a cutting in a humid chamber. Like if you were to just put it in this cup, you'd have it in a humid chamber, put it in this cup with no medium or anything. So it's in all this 100% humidity. The cells that make up this little cutting are still 100% viable. They've got moisture. They've got everything they need to sit in this state of suspended animation. Now, there's one little difference that will alter what happens with it, and that is temperature. Well, lighting will affect it too, but temperature is the main thing. If you have it in a fridge, it sits in a state of suspended animation. The cells just go to sleep, essentially. But if you sit it in this cup with no rooting medium in a humid environment in 60 degrees, 70 degrees, 80 degrees, what's it going to do? It's going to do the same thing as if it was in rooting medium. It's going to essentially try to start rooting, I would assume. Now, it's been a month since I had this sitting in the fridge, and it has been in a 60-degree refrigerator, so maybe that slowed things down. But I would venture to guess that this little cutting, even in that fridge, has already gone to work to try and start doing what it needs to do to grow roots, because it's been in that humid bag inside the refrigerator all this time. It's essentially in the same environment as if you had it in a rooting environment. So there really shouldn't be any detrimental effects to storing a cutting in a plastic bag with humidity in it, with some water in it, and then letting it sit in that bag for long periods of time, because we wait 6 weeks sometimes for these softwood cuttings to root anyway. As long as it's got all the humidity it needs to survive, I don't know. I started thinking about that the other day. Why is that? Why would that be a problem? I don't think it would be. And this could just revealing all of this and doing this little test could open up worlds of possibility to those of you who come to me on a regular basis and say, hey, Mike, I'm moving. That's probably the biggest one I get. I'm moving cross country, or I'm moving to the next state over, but I want to preserve these plants. How do I take cuttings and get them to where I'm moving to? Well, this might open up new possibilities. So I'm excited to see what happens. And as you guys know, I'm going to show you the results one way or another, whether this is successful or not. But right now, I'm going to go put this in on my windowsill, September 16th, and we're going to see what happens. It's probably going to take 6 to 8 weeks, I'm guessing. We'll see, maybe sooner, but I will come back and show you what has happened to this cutting, whether good or bad. Please, let it be good, buddy. I'll show you what's going to happen to this cutting in a short amount of time. Well, it'll be short to you. Here we go. September 16th today. Let's see what happens right now. Well, here we are. And I guess it's been a little while, so I should probably catch you guys up on this. But today is June 13th, I believe. And here's our little hydrangea. It's made it through the entire winter. Now, I actually had this in the windowsill, completely covered in that little cup system that I showed you all the way through most of the winter. And then a couple months ago, I noticed it wasn't looking that good in there. It just been quite a while. Now, we've done other videos where we went a whole year, but this one, you know, every plant's going to be a little different. And this one just didn't like it as much. So I pulled it out of that cup system about 2 months ago. I put it in my grow tent with the grow light and gave it a little fertilizer, and this is what we've got. It's bounced back some. I've got some little leaves going on there, you can see, and they're green, they're a little bit yellowing, but you can see tons of roots here. Let me get that in there. There you go. Tons of roots along there, and this thing is just thriving in that manner. But we want to get this top growth just going like crazy. So what I'm going to do now, it's June, I'm going to bring this out here, pot this up into a 1-gallon pot, fertilize it really well, and just give it a charge, and then leave it out in the hoop house here. We'll keep it watered through the summer. I'll come back and show you what this looks like, I don't know, in another month or two, and hopefully we just got a big bustling plant here. And here we are. We've made it all the way around to this point. We are like 2 years later after we started this project, but you know, it's just kind of the way I've been rolling lately. But here it is, 2 years later, the same hydrangea cutting. It's survived all this time. Now, I could have got it going a little bit better last summer, but it grew through the summer in this pot, and it's just spring. It's starting to leaf out now and doing real good, looking beautiful. No problems at all. I could put this out in my landscape now and it would grow on into a beautiful, healthy hydrangea. So this just shows more proof that if you guys want to take cuttings and store them for long periods of time in the fridge, in a plastic bag with a little bit of moisture, it's very possible. I get this question so much, and I'm really happy to finally be able to get my act together and put all of this together over a couple of years and show you how all this turned out, and that it actually does work if you need to take cuttings and then store them for long periods of time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, you know what to do. Hit the like button, subscribe if you want to follow along and see more fantastic gardening videos. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next video. Adios.